Hey everyone, thought I'd do a video today. I'm going to be doing my Booktube-a-Thon Wrap Up. So I participated in the Booktube-a-Thon, which was from the 15th of July to the 21st of July. So I just wanted to share with everyone how I did, so let's just get right into it. So the first book I read was Spellbound by Rachel Hawkins, and it was a really, really good book. The story with this is I actually read the second book. I finished the second book a week before the Booktube-a-Thon happened, and it killed me not to pick this up and read this right away, because I was really, really into the book and I just really wanted to find out what happens next. So I had to pick up another book. I actually didn't finish that book that I picked up to occupy my time before I read this. I don't know, my mind was just on this book, so I wasn't able to get into other books until I actually read this book. So this book is 327 pages, so add that to the total, and this also qualifies for the finishing a series challenge, so I completed that challenge, and it's a really good book, so I'm really happy that I finished it. The next book that I read was The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, and this is 374 pages, so add that to the total. And I've actually already read this book, so it qualifies for the rereading a book challenge, but I wanted to refresh my mind because I watched the video for the movie of this, and it's like most movies, it's not the exact same as the book. Everything in the book is way different from in the movie, because you get like so much information in the book, but they don't have enough time to put it in a movie. So I decided to read this because I haven't read the second and the third one, which is Catching Fire and Mockingjay. So I wanted to refresh my mind and just get into that a little bit more, so that I could read the last two books and get the series finished. So that qualifies for two of the challenges, like I said, rereading a book and to read an audiobook. And I read this whole book in audiobook, so that was nice. And like I said, 374 pages, so add that to the total. The next book I read was Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. This is a really good book. I've actually already read this book, so it does sort of count for the rereading a book challenge, but I already completed that challenge with the reading the Hunger Games book. But this also qualifies for the reading a classic. So this is 107 pages, so add that to the total. I find when I reread books, it's better the second time. So a lot of the books here I've already read, but I want to reread and everything, so I wanted to reread and everything. Whoops. Just dropped the book there. But this is a really good book. 107 pages, so add that to the total. The next book, well, actually I want to tell you guys, I didn't actually finish the rest of the books that I set out to read during this whole Booktube-a-Thon, unfortunately. I've actually read some parts of each and every one of the books that I set out to read. So I'll just tell you how I did on that, and just tell you everything. The next book that I read was Vampire Kisses: The Beginning by Ellen Schreiber. I actually already read this when it was in the original cover. I read the first 4 books out of this series, and this has the first 3 books in the series, so I wanted to reread this, but in this cover format type thing. I don't know how to explain it, but I remember it being a really good book, and the last time I read this, there was only like 4 or 5 books out, and I only read the first 4, and I just wanted to give some time for it to like sort of complete the series, which it did. There's 9 books in this series, and that's the end of it. So I just wanted to get more into the series and just complete it. So I read 246 pages out of the 562 pages in this book, but for the Booktube-a-Thon, but I've actually been reading a lot more. So it's more like right there, it's like I'm on the 3rd book of all of them, and I've actually read some past the mark that I put in there because I've been using my Kobo Mini to read this, because I don't know, I find a lot of the time to get through books I sometimes use my Kobo because it's like more broken down and everything, so that's just a really nice plus. And then sometimes I just pick up the book because I feel like I'd get more into it if it was like the actual copy of the book and everything. But yeah, I'm in the third book of this series inside this book, so but the 246 pages, add that to the whole page mark and whatever you want to call it, the page total. So the next book I somewhat read is Mistwood by Leah Cypess. I heard this was a really good book, and this actually doesn't qualify for any of the challenges really. I just really wanted to read it soon, so I put it in my Booktube-a-Thon reads, but unfortunately I didn't read that much. I read 10 pages out of the 304 pages in this book, so it was really interesting. I just wanted to read the vampire kisses, and for some reason I wasn't getting through it. I don't know, it's really, Vampire Kisses is a really good book, and I just wanted to read that first, and unfortunately I didn't get through a lot of them. So add 10 pages to the page count. The next book I partially read was, whoops, bookmark went flying. The next book I read was Hatchet by Gary Paulson. I actually read this book already. I just wanted to reread it for this Booktube-a-Thon, even though I already accomplished the rereading a book challenge, but I just really wanted to reread this, and I just wanted to get into this because last time I read this I was like in grade 7, and I graduated last year, so I wanted to refresh my memory, and this was a book from my childhood, and around the time when I started getting more into books, around grade 6 or 7 I started getting more into books, and this is a book from my childhood that helped start the whole thing. So yeah, I read 20 pages out of the 181 pages in this, so add that to the page count. And the last book that I partially read, I guess, is Beautiful Darkness by Margaret Stoll and Cami Garcia. So this would have counted for the read over 500 pages and also for the read a book that you've had on your bookshelf forever that you haven't read yet. So I don't know why I haven't been able to get into this book, but I read the first book, which was Beautiful Creatures, just before the movie came out, which came out in February, and then right afterwards I bought this book because I wanted to read the next book, but I don't know why I just couldn't get into this book, and I still can't get into this book very much, but I'm going to try within the next month to try finish this book, or at least get somewhat into it. So hopefully I will get right into that, but I read 25 out of the 503 pages in this book. And altogether the page count would be about 1,109 pages. So I think I did pretty good. I went halfway through with the page count, because if I read an average of 300 pages a day, that would be 2,100 pages, which is a little bit over halfway through what I accomplished. So that was one of the challenges, to read an average of 300 pages a day. That was the first challenge. The second challenge was to read over 500 pages, read an over 500 page book. I unfortunately didn't complete that challenge. The third challenge was to reread a book, which I did complete. The fourth challenge was to finish a series, which I did complete. The fifth challenge was to read a book that you've had on your bookshelf forever that you haven't read. I unfortunately didn't complete that challenge. The sixth one is to read an audiobook, which I did complete. My phone is going off, so just ignore that for a second. The 7th challenge is to read a classic, which I did complete. And that is all for my whole Booktube-a-Thon progress and how I did. I'm really happy about what I accomplished. Please ignore my phone for a little bit longer. Oh, I'd actually quiet down. Alright, so I'm gonna go so I can turn that off, and yeah, I hope you guys check this out for the future and just have fun with it, and I hope you guys read a lot more, and yeah, that's really all there is to it, and I hope to see you guys at the next Booktube-a-Thon. Hopefully it's soon, because I had a lot of fun during the whole Booktube-a-Thon, so I guess I'll just see you guys later, and yeah, bye.